Hi, this is Rick Julian, author of The Way, and this is commentary on verse 5. I gave birth to all things, but prefer none of them. Life or death, sun or moon, good or bad. The wise one accepts all things equally. In this verse, we are encouraged to be a reflection of the Tao, to accept all things equally without judgment, knowing, as we discussed earlier, that the opposites are a requirement for our existence, that darkness is necessary to give meaning to light, that death is necessary for life, and that we need to accept them both equally. Imagine, if you would, an existence in which nothing ever dies. I don't know that anyone has ever run the thought experiment in a scientific way. I'm sure there are some ways to begin to kind of calculate what the consequences were. But I'll take a wild guess and say that if nothing died, if no bacteria died, if no plants ever died, if no animals, if no humans ever died, that we would be overrun by life, and existence as we know it would cease within a matter of days. Death creates space for life to come into. Death is the other side of this same coin of our existence. Death is a requirement for life. One of the things that was so refreshing to me as a young man when I first became introduced to Taoism was that it abandoned the constraints that the Christianity that I grew up with had placed on this conception of a creator, of a God. Within the Christian tradition of the Bible, God is an anthropomorphic being that has a character, has a personality. And we spend all manner of energy within the faith tradition of Christianity trying to reconcile how a loving God, a God that tells us that he loves us, can allow bad things to happen. How can a God who loves us allow a child to die, for example? And we wrestle with this, and that very struggle, that very argument by itself has driven so many people out of their faith. This inability to reconcile this love with what they perceive, with what people perceive as cruelty. And what kind of personality must this God have who can be so hypocritical that I love you, yet I will let you die? So when Taoism came into my life and I was able to think beyond a God who had a personality, I was able to think in terms of the necessity of nature to have the mechanics that it has, that nature mirrors our creator. And when I get beyond personality, then I'm better able just to understand and perceive the mechanics. Taoism, by its very nature, is a more stoic practice. It encourages us to remain impassive. And in this verse, it suggests that the Tao is impassive. The Tao does not prefer anything. The Tao does not value life over death. They are both necessary. It does not think that the sun is better than the moon. In the grand scheme of our existence, they are both necessary. The moon performs a function that is different than the sun does. The sun does not motivate the tides of our oceans. The moon does. The moon does not warm the planet. The sun does. They each have their own respective roles, and there is no valuing one over the other. Just because of its scale, it does not mean it is more important. The wise one, as we are encouraged in the way, accepts all of these things equally. The language that I will use throughout these discussions of creator or starter or higher power, whatever that language is, I only do it because that's the language that I have available to me. Those are the tools I have available to me to give you some kind of context for the idea. But I don't pretend that they capture it. One of the things that we talk about in Taoism is that the more we talk about the Tao, the less we say about the Tao. The more I try to explain the nature of the Tao, the further I get away from the actuality of what the Tao is. The bottom line is to abandon these ideas of personality, as life being an affirmation of God's love and death being an affirmation of God's cruelty. All things, as they are expressed in our existence, are necessary parts of our existence. I don't always like the things that I experience, but I accept them all equally, knowing that each of them plays a vital role in the mechanics of a universe I cannot comprehend. The last three lines are, an empty hand is the most useful one. It is incapable of work when filled. Its emptiness contains a power beyond words. We've, again, spoken of this idea many times already, and we are only in the 5th verse. But it is the sheer repetition of these ideas that makes them go deeper into us and lets us know by their emphasis, by their repetition, how critical they are to this philosophy. I encourage you to try to find examples of this. Take these words out of the page and try to observe how they come alive in your life, with examples in your daily living. You cannot do work when you are occupying yourself with something that is not useful to your work. So it is with our minds, that when I want to meditate on the solution to a problem, the best way to do it is to empty my mind altogether. When I begin my meditation practice, I cannot have my mind, my hand, filled with all of the concerns that I might have during that day. Oh, I need to fix the roof. And oh, I need to repair this thing. And I need to return this call. And I need to post this video. And I need to write this new chapter. Those are the things that fill my hands. Yeah. Those are the things that are filling my mind. And the solution to solving a larger problem or a different issue cannot be approached while all of those things are in my mind. So I have to empty my mind in order to allow new awarenesses to come into it. And if my mind is too occupied with all of this chatter, I can't get quiet enough to hear the voice that tells me what I need to do in order to solve the challenge that I am most concerned with. An empty hand is the most useful one. An empty mind is the most useful vessel into which we can fill ourselves with new ideas. In that way, the emptiness of our minds contain a power beyond words. That's the end of the 5th commentary.